Welcome to Lucky Fortune English Podcast. I'm Vincent, and we're doing something a little different today.
I'm Jenny.
And we are going to be taking a deep dive into some horoscopes that you, our listener, sent in.
Yes.
We're going to be looking specifically at January 2025 for Cancer, Leo, and Virgo.
Sounds fun.
Okay, so let's jump right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
And let's start with Cancer.
Okay.
So those born between June 21st and July 22nd.
Right.
And the prediction here is that at the start of January, Cancers may feel some self-doubt creeping in, perhaps some unmet expectations like a job offer fell through or a relationship didn't blossom the way they hoped it would. And this is kind of triggering those insecurities a little bit.
Well, that makes sense because Cancer is ruled by the moon, which governs emotions and the need for security. So when things don't quite go as planned, it's totally natural for those anxieties to surface.
So what would you say to our Cancer friends out there who are feeling this way?
I think the key here is patience. The source suggests that these delays or disappointments might have logical explanations that'll become clearer over time.
Okay.
So instead of overthinking it, focus on cultivating optimism and trust that things will eventually fall into place.
I think that's good advice for anyone.
It is. It's really good advice for anyone.
We all need to take a deep breath and let things unfold naturally sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, looking a little bit deeper into the source material, it seems that financial security is a particular concern for Cancers this month.
It is. And astrologically, this makes sense because the second house, which rules finances and possessions, is naturally linked to Cancer's need for stability and security.
So what is the financial forecast for Cancer this month?
Yeah.
Is it doom and gloom, or are we looking at a windfall here?
Well, it's not all sunshine and rainbows initially.
Okay.
Investment opportunities might seem limited at the start of the month, and this could amplify those feelings of insecurity that we talked about. But here's where it gets interesting. The source hints at some unexpected financial gains appearing later in January.
Oh.
Almost like a reward for riding out those initial anxieties and staying the course.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it might be a little bit of a roller coaster ride financially for Cancers.
A little up and down.
Yeah, but ultimately it seems like there will be a positive outcome.
Okay, so what's the advice then? What should they do?
Preparation is key. While those big opportunities may not be immediately apparent, Cancers should use this time to refine their budgets, maybe explore different investment strategies, and just be ready to seize those chances when they do arise.
Be prepared.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we move on to the next sign, I do want to point out one more interesting detail for Cancer. The source mentions a rather daunting challenge that may emerge towards the end of January.
Yes. This one caught my eye, too.
Okay.
It seems almost paradoxical, right? On the one hand, there's this potential for financial abundance and security, but on the other hand, there's this challenge that could really test their resilience and push them out of their comfort zone.
So it's the best approach. Should they retreat into their shell?
No.
Or face this head on?
The source definitely encourages Cancers to embrace this challenge despite any initial hesitation or lack of confidence that they might feel.
Okay.
It suggests that facing this obstacle head on will ultimately lead to growth and a newfound sense of self-assurance for Cancers.
So what kind of challenge could this be? Do you have any ideas?
Well, it could be related to a career opportunity or a personal relationship or maybe even a creative pursuit that requires them to take a bold step,
Yeah, take a risk.
Exactly.
Interesting. So it sounds like January is going to be a month of both inner and outer expansion for Cancers.
It is.
They've got to overcome those initial insecurities. They've got to navigate those financial ups and downs.
Yes.
And then ultimately conquer this challenge that could lead to some significant personal growth.
Definitely, it's a month filled with potential for transformation if Cancer can embrace the opportunities and the lessons that come their way.
Okay, so let's move on then to Leo.
Okay.
Those born between July 23rd and August 22nd.
All right.
What do we have in store for the Lions this January?
Well, if there's one word to describe Leo's energy this month, it would be ambition.
That sounds about right for Leo, always striving for greatness, ready to take center stage.
Yeah.
But, ambition can be a double-edged sword, can't it?
Absolutely. It can be a powerful motivator.
Yeah.
Propelling Leos towards their goals and helping them to manifest their dreams, but taken to an extreme can also lead to burnout, exhaustion, and neglecting those crucial relationships that provide support and grounding.
So it's all about finding that balance.
Yes.
Harnessing that fiery ambition, but also staying grounded and connected to what truly matters.
Exactly. And the source really emphasizes the importance of balance for Leos this month. It suggests that channeling their energy wisely with a blend of passion, calmness, and common sense will be key to achieving sustainable success and inner peace.
So it's not just about reaching the top.
Mhm.
It's about getting there in a way that feels aligned and sustainable.
Precisely. Now, speaking of balance, the source also highlights a potential pitfall for Leos this month,
Oh.
and that is neglecting their personal relationships in the pursuit of those ambitious goals.
Yeah, that's classic Leo.
It is.
They get so focused on their own endeavors that they forget to nurture those important connections.
It happens to the best of us, but the source warns that this could lead to disappointment or strained relationships for Leos in January.
Yeah.
So if you're a Leo listening, take a moment to reflect. What relationships in your life deserve a little extra attention and TLC this month?
Sometimes it's those simple acts of kindness and appreciation that make all the difference in maintaining strong and healthy relationships.
Absolutely. Now, in addition to this potential relationship hiccup, the source also mentions a work-related issue or agreement that might require a very direct approach to resolve.
Ooh, okay.
This could be anything from a disagreement with a colleague to a contract negotiation that needs careful attention.
So how do they navigate this? What's the advice?
Well, the source emphasizes the need for patience and careful consideration before making any decisions.
Okay.
Leos might be tempted to just jump in and take charge, but a more measured approach is advised in this situation.
So it's almost counterintuitive to Leo's nature in a way.
It is,
Yeah.
but sometimes taking a step back, weighing the options, and approaching the situation with a calm and strategic mindset can lead to much more favorable outcomes.
Right. It's channeling that fiery energy into focused action
Yes.
instead of impulsive reactions.
Exactly. And the source suggests that patience both with themselves and with others involved will be key to finding a workable solution.
So communication and diplomacy.
Yes.
They've got to tap into that inner diplomat this month.
They do. It seems that navigating those interpersonal dynamics, both in personal and professional settings, is a key theme for Leo this January.
So for our listeners out there, what are those ambitious goals or projects that are firing you up right now? And how can you pursue them in a way that feels balanced, sustainable, and nurturing to your overall well-being?
That's a great question to consider.
Okay, so let's turn our attention now to Virgo,
Right?
those born between August 23rd and September 22nd.
Okay.
And this might come as a surprise, but the source actually advises Virgos to hold back on those New Year's resolutions.
I know, right? It seems counterintuitive.
Everyone's making those goals and changes
Yeah.
at the start of a new year.
Exactly.
So why is that?
Well, the source suggests that Virgos might be feeling the weight of external expectations, perhaps from society, family, or even their own inner critic.
Well,
And this could really cloud their judgment when it comes to making choices that are truly aligned with their own desires.
so it's tuning out the noise
Yes.
and figuring out what they truly want.
Exactly. The source advises Virgos to first clarify what they truly desire and avoid falling into the trap of shoulds, whether imposed by themselves or by others. This is a time for deep introspection and discerning between what they genuinely want to pursue and what they feel pressured to do.
Yeah, we can get so caught up in trying to please others or live up to certain expectations that we totally lose sight of our own authentic path.
Absolutely. So instead of rushing into resolutions, the source recommends taking some time for reflection.
Okay.
It suggests looking back on past choices, both the satisfying and the unsatisfying ones, and using those experiences to inform their decisions moving forward.
That's a good idea. It's learning from our past experiences,
Yes,
both the
I
good
think
and
so.
the bad, and using that wisdom to kind of guide us.
Exactly.
So I want to ask our listener out there, what external expectations might be influencing your choices right now? And how can you distinguish between what you genuinely desire and what you feel pressured to pursue?
Those are excellent questions to ponder. We'll continue exploring Virgo's January forecast in our next segment, but for now, we invite you to sit with these reflections and see what insights emerge. Welcome back to Lucky Fortune English Podcast. Before the break, we were talking about Virgo's approach to January and how they should maybe hold back on those New Year's resolutions. You know, just making sure that they're making choices that resonate with them, not just doing things because of outside pressure.
Right. Yeah, I think that resisting those external pressures really resonated with me. And it actually ties into something else that the source mentioned about Virgo's journey this month, this idea of patience.
Oh, absolutely. Patience is a big theme in this month's predictions, and it seems super relevant for Virgos.
Okay.
They're being called to kind of embrace a slower, more deliberate pace, especially in that first week of January.
So it kind of goes against that whole new me energy
Yeah.
that a lot of people have. So this is a cause for concern. Should Virgos be worried about this slow start.
No, not at all. The source suggests that this is not a time for rushing into action, but rather a period for gathering information, reflecting on their goals, and refining their strategies. It's like laying a solid foundation for the busier weeks ahead.
So it's like a gestation period.
Exactly.
They're getting ready to just launch into action.
Yeah. And speaking of activity, things are expected to pick up significantly for Virgo in that second week of January. The source actually describes it as a whirlwind of activity, both for Virgos themselves and those around them.
Wow. So it's a stark contrast from that initial slow start.
It is.
So how should they prepare for this sudden shift?
Well, the source suggests that this increased activity, while potentially overwhelming, can actually be beneficial for Virgos.
Yeah.
It kind of creates a focused environment with fewer distractions, allowing them to really make significant progress towards their goals.
So harness that energy.
Yeah, turn that chaos into productivity.
I like it.
Yeah. So embrace the momentum and ride that wave of opportunities that comes their way.
Okay, now the source also mentioned something about a waiting game for Virgos.
Mm.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it seems like some Virgos might be eagerly awaiting a response or an outcome related to a shared vision or project.
Okay.
Perhaps they've pitched an idea, submitted a proposal, or they're just hoping for collaboration on something that they're passionate about.
That waiting can be tough, especially for Virgos who are so practical
I know.
and efficient.
Yeah.
So what's the advice? How do you deal with that uncertainty?
Patience.
Okay.
That's the key. The source cautions against forcing the issue or trying to rush the process. Instead, it encourages Virgos to trust in the natural unfolding of events.
I mean, that can be hard.
It is.
You know, you want to take control.
Right, you want to make it happen.
You want to make it happen.
But sometimes surrendering to the timing of the universe and trusting that things will work out in their own way leads to the best outcomes.
Right. Forcing it could actually backfire,
It could.
create unnecessary stress.
Exactly.
So find that balance between action and surrender.
Exactly. And while they're waiting, the source suggests they use that time productively. Maybe refining their vision, gathering additional information, or even exploring some alternative approaches.
So turn that waiting period into a time for
Yeah.
empowerment,
Exactly.
getting ready for
Yeah.
to actually come to fruition.
It's interesting how these themes of patience, trust, and surrender have kind of woven themselves throughout our discussion of all three signs today. It's like a universal message that's being whispered through these January predictions.
Yeah, I agree. It's a reminder that we don't always have control over every aspect of our lives, but we can choose to approach those challenges and uncertainties with a little bit more grace, acceptance, and willingness to let go.
Beautifully said. And, this idea of surrendering to the flow actually connects to something else that caught my attention in the source material. Intuition.
Yeah, and we touched on that a little bit
Yes.
with all three signs. Cancer had to trust those gut feelings and not second-guess themselves. Leo had to listen to that inner voice that guides them towards balance and well-being.
Yeah.
And Virgo is tuning out those external pressures and making choices that just felt right.
Exactly. It's like each sign is being called to tap into their own unique form of inner guidance this month.
Right.
It's a reminder that we all have this incredible source of wisdom within us. We just need to remember to listen to it.
Sometimes you just got to quiet the noise of the world and really listen.
Exactly.
Let that inner voice come through.
So true. Now, before we move on to our final takeaways for each sign, I wanted to circle back to something we touched on earlier, and that was challenges as opportunities for growth. The source materials seem to emphasize this quite a bit.
He did. It's so
Okay.
easy to view challenges as obstacles or setbacks, but what if we could shift our perspective and see them as opportunities to learn to stretch, to evolve?
It's like that quote by Rumi, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Sometimes it's through those difficult experiences that we discover our true strength and resilience.
That's a good one. And, I think that ties in nicely with another theme that emerged from the source material.
Yeah.
Patience.
Oh, absolutely. We talked about this in relation to Virgo and the importance of allowing things to unfold naturally, but it's really a message that applies to all of us,
To all of us.
regardless of our star sign.
Patience is such a valuable virtue, especially in today's world.
It is.
Everything's so fast-paced.
Yes.
But when you have patience, it allows us to surrender to the timing of the universe, trust in the process, and ultimately achieve more sustainable and fulfilling results.
So well said. All right, let's do a quick recap of the key takeaways for each sign before we move on. For Cancer, it's all about overcoming that self-doubt, embracing those unexpected challenges, and trusting your intuition.
For Leo, finding balance between ambition and well-being, nurturing those relationships, and making choices that align with your core values.
And for Virgo, resisting those external pressures, taking time for reflection, and practicing patience as you move towards your goals.
Now remember, listeners, these are just general insights. Astrology is complex, and there's so much more to explore. If something resonated with you today, I really encourage you to dive a little deeper into this world and discover what it holds for you.
Absolutely. Now, before we sign off, any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they embark on this new year?
Well, I would say embrace January with a sense of curiosity and openness. Be willing to step outside of your comfort zone, trust your instincts, and remember that challenges can lead to incredible growth.
Beautifully put. It's like seeing this new year and this new month as a blank canvas, an opportunity to paint your own unique masterpiece.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier that really stuck with me, this idea that sometimes the things that we're waiting for, those opportunities, those breakthroughs that we're hoping will happen, they might take a little longer than we expect to materialize.
Right. And that's so hard because we're so used to instant gratification.
Right. We want it now.
We want it now.
But it sounds like from the source material that this waiting period can actually be a time for growth, a time to prepare.
Yeah. It's like that saying, the best things in life are worth waiting for. So while we're waiting, we can refine our skills, gather resources, and really clarify our vision.
So when it does happen,
Exactly.
you're ready
You're ready to go.
to really make the most of it.
Yeah, you hit the ground running.
And it just reminds me of this other thing that I found really interesting in the source material, this idea that sometimes we just need to let go.
Yes.
We need to release our grip on the outcome and just trust the process.
Absolutely. I mean, that comes up all the time in spiritual teachings, personal growth journeys.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about surrendering to the flow of life and having faith that things will work out even if we can't see the full picture right now.
Yeah, you just got to let go of that control.
You do.
Let the universe do its thing.
Exactly. And sometimes that means embracing the unknown, taking risks, stepping outside of our comfort zones, even when we're not sure what's going to happen.
Because sometimes it's in those moments.
Yeah.
When we're uncertain that we discover our greatest strength.
Yes.
We discover our resilience.
That's when the magic happens, right? And it reminds me of that quote by Anais Nin. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful?
Sometimes staying stuck
Yeah.
can be more painful than taking that leap of faith.
Absolutely. So as we move into this new year, this new month, what risks are you willing to take to really blossom into your full potential?
What are you willing to let go of?
Yes. What steps can you take to release your grip and really just trust in the process?
These are great questions to think about.
They are.
So this has been an amazing deep dive into these January 2025 horoscopes,
It has.
specifically for Cancer, Leo, and Virgo.
Yes, we talked about so much.
We talked about patience, intuition, embracing challenges, surrendering to the flow.
Yeah, it's been a really good reminder that while astrology can provide valuable insights, we ultimately have the power to choose how we respond to those things.
Yes, we do. So thank you for joining us on this journey of astrological exploration.
Yes, thank you for being here. And don't forget to subscribe to Lucky Fortune English Podcast for more fascinating deep dives.
Subscribing to our channel will bring you good luck. See you again.